Women in Print Alliance is dedicated to connecting, empowering, and advancing women in the print industry. As part of Printing United Alliance, we're fostering a more inclusive future through advocacy, education, and networking opportunities that connect women across the entire industry. Join us as an individual to grow your career, expand your network, and access exclusive resources, or enroll your entire organization to show your commitment to supporting women in print. Become a member today at womeninprintalliance.org and help us shape the future of print.
Welcome to Her Imprint, part of the Impressions Exchange. I'm Denise Gustafson, your host. This podcast celebrates the remarkable women who are transforming the printing industry. We'll explore their journeys, from challenges to triumphs, and share the stories that leave a lasting imprint. Today I have with me Daphne Bien-Aimé, Director of Compliance and Operations for Duggal Visual Solutions. So Daphne, welcome.
Thank you.
So to get us started, can you give us a little bit of background about Duggal Visual Solutions?
We've been in business for over 60 years, and we started as, I want to say, some company that was catering solely to photographers, high-end photographers like La Chapelle and doing big gallery expositions. And I believe around maybe early 2000, we started branching off and doing other things than just printing. So now we're full on, I want to say, a service company that caters to every aspect of helping a company or an event space or into retouching, animation, printing, fabrication, production of any kind of scale, small, big, you name it. We do it all. The company is becoming more and more of a one-stop shop. We have different departments. We have multiple buildings, different logistical places in the world. We're starting to even be global. So it is very exciting to work at Duggal, I would say, for many people, and including myself, of course.
Of course. So how did you get started at Duggal? Did you wake up one day and said, I'm going to be in printing? What was your path to get to where you are now?
So that's a funny story. Technically, I was not going in the path of printing at all. I started my career 23 years ago with another company called Jeffrey Allen Associates. And I was with them for 9 years. Duggal just moved in. They were like the hot stuff. And my curiosity, of course, goes to find out, what's this company? Because everybody was talking about them. They have a beautiful showroom. So I go and I looked at the showroom and I was blown away. And not that at that point, I was probably in my company for 5 years. I was not in printing already, but it felt like a different level. And I remember saying to myself from that day, I'm going to work in that company. And it didn't happen even at that same time. I believe it happened 4 years later, but somehow, some way, it's like I spoke it into reality. I was interested, and then I started as a coordinator. But I did tell him at that point that I am interested in becoming more than a coordinator, to manage teams and manage projects and stuff like that. And I was lucky enough that he took my word very seriously, and every opportunity that we found to help me grow, I took it. He was kind enough to help me guide through it and give me a chance. And now I am where I am.
And that's awesome. But you're probably not even going to stop there. Right now, you're Director of Compliance and Operations. So what's your next stop? I have to ask.
Right now, I am actually already training to become an next VP and also operation. We're dedicating a time right now where the two of us are working side by side together in multiple projects. And basically, he's offloading off me. I am asking him questions about how we done this project. We're doing it together. So now this experience is making the relay of information a little more interesting and a little more effective, I would say.
That's awesome. And it's amazing that you have that kind of mentorship too from Mike, from the person that you eventually will be replacing. In some cases, that doesn't happen because I know a lot of people want to hold on to those jobs. No, I don't want to give it away. But at the
Yes.
same time, they also want to retire. They want to go enjoy the life that they've built.
Yes, exactly. And we've worked together for a long time, and I believe we have mutual respect for each other. And I think that's why it worked well. We have different strengths, we have different characters, but I think because of the mutual respect, we're able to chime in with each other, bounce ideas with each other, and see, okay, how are we dealing with the current project at hand? How are we facing the challenges, and how are we going forward? And he's giving me his experience, his expertise, what he would have done. And then me, I'm able at that time, almost like instead of being the sole person that's taking the decision at that time and doubting yourself, I have somebody to say, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? Would you have taken that path? And you're like, oh, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I'm going to raise it a little bit more, or maybe you should do this a little differently and stuff like that. So it's enjoyable to go through that. And also to have that, I want to say you have the permission to do your way, but with somebody still trying to perfect where you're going and how you're doing it.
In some ways, you have a safety net.
Exactly. Exactly. And to tell you the truth, at this point of my career, it's not that I need the safety net, but it is definitely interesting and good to have people that you're looking up to. I am blessed enough that this person is not the only person that I look up to. I have other people at the company that I work close to that are also VPs that are mentoring me as well. And there is just a group of knowledge, and it's good to just have something like you feel like you're not alone. And also, if you are not sure of something, there's a place to go to see, okay, before I deploy this, does it sound right the same way it sound right in my head? Or if it does, if I have an hesitation, is it me who's having a hesitation because I feel unsure, or is it a great idea? And then the person can tell you, I think it is a great idea. Just pursue it, just do it. Maybe go with caution, but it's worth going in that path.
Yeah, in some ways, yes, you have a lot of knowledge, but you're entering an area that maybe is a little bit beyond your comfort zone. So to have that ability to have that safety net, to have that person to be able to bounce ideas off of, it is so valuable, especially as you're being groomed to take over that role. So that way you'll have the confidence in
Yes.
yourself when you're facing those decisions on your own.
Exactly. And also too, I think the main thing is also to the client facing. At this point of my career, I have had some sort of client facing, but not as the point person. And it's definitely a different perspective to be the point person. The client is looking for advice, the client is looking for a decision, or the client is looking for some path of which way their project should go, and you're that person. You're not behind somebody and say, hey, we have this, what about that? You know what I mean? I feel like most of my career, I've been the number two. I am stepping in into being more of the number one. And it takes some getting used to.
It does. And honestly, in the printing industry too, we've seen that there's so few women in leadership roles. And then when you add on women of color as well, there's so few of those that they are underrepresented. So you're obviously seeing that change. You are that change in some ways because you're moving into an executive role as a woman of color as well. Why do you think that's
Correct.
so important?
I believe it's important because in anything that you're doing, there's not one side of the story. There's not one perfect way. There's not one perspective. It is good to have that diversity, that different mentality or perspective, and everybody brings something to the table. You know what I mean? Whether it could be a male or female, this race or that race. I do not believe that nobody has something to bring to the table. I myself do it to my staff. And I think that being the first or the sometimes empower other people behind me that you can talk, you have an idea. And I think it is good that I was able to experience with the company where I can be in a room and not feel my opinion is not valued. or my opinion is not needed or necessary. I think a lot of people at my company believe that if they have a project with me, the project is going to get well done, received, and it will be produced to its accuracy. I think that is something that helps me thrive a lot. But again, to go to your question, whether you're a female or a male, Black or not Black, I believe that if you can bring value, it is important to be represented. Sometimes people don't do certain things because they're like, oh, I haven't seen myself in that role. But now if they see somebody of their stature, their gender, their color, then they're like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it too. Not that it makes it less than, but it just gives that person an extra courage. Because sometimes that's all it is. You have to be a little bit brave.
Yeah, definitely. You have to get that inner confidence. You have to be brave in some cases, especially if there's no one in that position or no one on that level that you've seen before. Do you take the risk to step out way outside of your
Exactly.
comfort zone?
Exactly. And I believe in printing, that's the tricky bit. Especially nowadays, people are trying to convey ideas. It's no longer just printing. They're trying to achieve a vision. They're trying to bring out whatever they had as a concept for their company, for the identity of their company or their events. They're trying to get that image across the board. And all they really need is a collaborator, a helping hand to see, oh, I understand what you're talking about. Maybe we won't do it this way, but let's do it that way. And I think with printing, what's really great about it is that just now it's like sometimes it's the colors that have to help you do it. Sometimes it's the composition. Sometimes it's the fabrication. Like I said to you now, I'm part of fabrication and I didn't even know that world could commingle with printing. But now you're printing on boards, you're printing on die bond, you're printing on wood. And then now you can create other shapes, other things than just a flat print. So to me, it's all about trying to collaborate with a client and getting their vision put across. And I don't believe that being one type of person will help in one way or another. I think it's a group effort. Sometimes it's multiple ideas that have to be put together. Everybody brings something to the table. Like with my team all the time, what I like to do is I have the idea and sometimes I may be the tiebreaker and I may be the last draw of that idea, but I present it to the team. I let them let it marinate in their hand. What are you thinking? What are you seeing that you don't like? And if the person says, you know what? I like everything, but this, thing, it bothers me. And you're like, what does it bother you? And then that person says something and you're like, oh, it could be a problem. Let's fix it. But if we had not had that conversation together as a group, then that it would not be a great event. But sometimes I feel that this extra thought process, this extra, let me help the client achieve their project to the maximum of our ability by coming together as a group, helps the event go much better. Because I like to say, I'm a good lazy. A lot of my jobs, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to take us so long to do this. But I bring the lazy part of myself because I'm like, let's find us something smart to do it. Because if we're going to do this, and it's going to take us 10 days. Oh my God, that's too long. And then you're like, oh, if I did this with it, oh, that's going to save me this much if I put this group on this group. And then now suddenly what was maybe an impairment of yours becomes something that saves the project, save you money, save you time. So I always look at myself as if I can think that way, somebody else has something in them that may be of service to the group, to the project.
And I think too, that also builds that team. It builds the camaraderie with the team as well. And
Correct.
in some ways too, it helps to give them ownership of some of those projects too, because they have had a say in how it's going to be produced, what the process is going to be. So they feel tied to it more than just, oh, this is just another job that's come into the shop.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the traits I want to say for women. It's to me, it's the greatest thing I would say that gives more value to a woman in this industry is that we do know how to bring a team together. And I'm not saying that men don't do it well too. I'm sure some of them do. I've seen some of them do it too. But I feel like because as women, we're nurtured by nature, okay, we do bring that a little more. We try to get it out of people. We try to really put it into the mix. It's like the secret sauce for us. So I believe that's definitely one of the reasons why women in printing, to me, is just adds that little bit of magical.
Unfortunately, not every moment can be so magical.
Exactly. That I am very aware of.
Women encounter a lot of issues, a lot of those non-magic moments in the workforce. Are there times when you've had to navigate some tough situations or maybe even some subtle biases that may have been present? And how do you continue to respond in a positive way with confidence? Because there's a certain reputation that you want to have as well within the company.
Correct. Depending on how tied I am to an idea, how passionate I am about the project, and I want that specific thing that I'm fighting for to go through. I would say if it's important, but not important to me to get the credit, sometimes I'll be like, no, and I'll be firm and I'll be like, you're going to hear me because this is going to become a problem. It's going to become a disaster. I know it from a fact, have a strong feeling about it, and then I battle through it. But I believe that I choose my battles. Sometimes it is not necessary to go to bat for every single battle. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You almost have to learn to fight another fight. So some fight, I'll definitely take it head on. And some fight, I'll pass it on to somebody else because it's not that important to me at that point. It's important for the project to go through, but is it important for my ego to get satisfied? Sometimes maybe not. So I try to find those good ways. Am I okay with the fact that I have to constantly remember that I am a woman? That when it comes from me, it's gonna be like, oh, she's a girl. Is that gonna be right? Then obviously that does annoy you every now and then. The good thing, however, I believe as I grew into my company, as I have confidence on things that I've done, you do walk and talk a different way as you become more confident in your performance. So if I'm coming into a room and I knew I did this, I did that, I have 5 years of experience, 20 years of experience, or whatever, then I am no longer scared that you have an opinion. I'm more into like, after 5 minutes talking to you, you will see it my way because you will start hearing the experience from my voice. You will start feeling more comfortable. And I think sometimes it is our job to relax down the room or make either the employees or your colleagues or the client itself to make them feel comfortable. But I think as I get more involved and as I get more confident, I think that helped me find my footing, find my voice. Definitely at the beginning, I was very shy. I could barely talk and you fumbling trying to find your words. What are you trying to say? You're repeating yourself. You're using the wrong words. But I think that is just a byproduct of, I'm not sure, I don't want to even say as being a woman. It's just that we feel, and I want to say to even to an extent, we're educated to fall into the background. But now, when you put us in a position to be in the foreground, it's uncomfortable. But I want to say to people that it doesn't stay uncomfortable for long. So it's just like you're going to be comfortable with your friends, with your family when you're doing something and you know you're good at it. Eventually that will happen at work too. It's just a question of having a little bravery every day, understanding what you're worth and being confident in what you're worth and what you bring to the table. Because it's all about value, right? If you bring value to someone, They want more of it, especially in this industry. The printing industry, as we see it now, it's all about making the event go flawless or making the event a success and achieving whatever the client was trying to achieve. Either it's brand ambassador, being in a new territory that they wanted to enter, and now it's such a flawless execution. Everything is on time, everything is installed the way it should be installed. Now the person can have the liberty to do what they came to do, which is to work. So when you are a printing company that helps do that, then now you basically relax them into doing what they wanted to do versus they have to be, oh, is this there? Does it look the way I think it looked or supposed to look and stuff like that? So when you help a client achieve those things and you think forefront for them about all of the issues that may happen because we bring our own expertise, obviously, and experience to every event, I believe that's what matters.
It does. And honestly, in addition, as you had mentioned earlier, having the support internally from colleagues too that are willing to say, this is the idea. Daphne said it 5 minutes ago. To be able to call that to light as well is really something important that I think everybody can take to heart as well, to make sure that you're being acknowledged within a group,
Yeah.
I think is
Yes.
important.
Yes. And I believe also too what's important is that I know sometimes people are fighting for attention or fighting for their ideas or their own voice to be heard, to be clear too. I think there is a space for everybody to be seen. And I think that's the most important thing in general in a group. That's why I make it my own duty to do it with my staff. Nobody in my staff is small or big. It's a question of we're talking about a project. The project is the focus and the client is the focus, not us. And obviously now at certain points, because of my position and everything, I have right of veto or right of saying yes or no or right of being the tiebreaker. But I always make somebody feel seen and heard because at the end of the day, we're all here to learn. And we're learning to help the project goes well. And by having an ego sometimes, it just gets in the way.
It does, but sometimes that's hard to remember when you're in the moment.
No, it definitely does. It definitely does. And let's say if you're busy, when you're busy, it feels like the animal instinct is back and you're like, no, I need you to just need it this way. And then you just have to remember, it's not about you. It's not about you. And then the minute that, then you can go back into the right direction for the project.
But a lot of that's going to be learned too at some point in time. Like you said, you have
Correct.
to pick your battles. Need to know when is the right time to let that ego out, when it's needed, or when it's okay just to sit back and just let things, it's fine. This is not a battle I need to fight right now.
Exactly. Exactly. Especially in printing, right? The main thing is to look at the colors. Is it vibrant enough? Is it the right color? Is it matching the color and everything? Some people are in the industry and they have piercing eyes. Some people are a little dull. Some people would like to see a little more nuance to the color. It's all subjective. At the end of the day, when you finish printing it, you're looking at it. Is it pleasing to a overall group, right? Everybody's going to interpret it differently. Now, who has the main, I want to say, solace of saying, oh, I'm seeing it better. This is the best or whatever. I think it's all subjective. And I think that's what I like with printing. It's obviously interpretation of colors, interpretation of, personalities, characters. How do you see it to begin with? Like people who don't like red, for instance, a little hint of red, they're like, oh my God, that's too much. You have to dim down this magenta. So it's what are you looking for? And to me, I feel like that's where you have to remove yourself and listen to what it is the client trying to achieve. I may say something like I'm Caribbean from descent, so I like everything vibrant and poppy. Another client may want, I just want them to be muted. Then they're leading the conversation because that's what they're looking. And then now suddenly I'm a muted person because that's what the client is asking for. So I think it's all about listening to what is needed in the moment and trying to adapt to that. And as women, I think that's one of the things that makes, I guess, me a little better at that too, because we're adaptable. We try our best to remove the ego. Not to say that women don't have ego. We can be very egocentric too. Don't get me wrong, but I believe that we can adapt to seeing what is the real matter for the situation, what really is needed for that client, for that project, for that team, etc.
So, what was it about print that really motivates you to continue to grow? Obviously, you're continuing to grow, you're moving into the executive suite. What really keeps you energized to keep going?
It's a good question. I believe for me, it's the fact that printing keeps reinventing itself. When I first started, they told me, why are you doing this career? This is going to die in 5 years. It's been 23 years. In fact, it was not 5 years. So I do love the fact that we keep reinventing ourselves. We keep finding other ways of making the industry relevant and interesting. And of course, things are changing around us. Technologies and is changing. But I do believe that printing is going to be around for a much longer time than we are giving it or thinking that it will. Because what happened is that in the end, people feel a little closer to things that they can tangibly touch or see. And I think printing gives that to you. I don't believe that, not that having animation or digital screen, that's not the future. It's definitely part of it. But I believe things are going to become more and more a mixture of things. A little bit of a buffet. I want a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this. But I believe printing is always going to be one of the side dish because it's just wonderful to have those things. I think what's going to keep pushing is the different vibrancy of color. That's why machines are getting better and better every day. There's more and more picolators in every machines that we have nowadays. They're getting larger and larger, bigger and bigger. Material sizes are different. Eco-friendly materials are coming into the mix, and you have to deal with those things. And it's just, there's so much innovation and also challenges at the same time. I think that's what keeps me going into the print system. And I also think because I'm also a nurturing person, the values that we have at Duggal, the culture that I want to help change, and the people that are in my team that I'm trying to help grow just like I'm growing, that keeps me going as well.
So, if you were just starting out today, knowing what you know in the history of the industry, your journey, what advice would you give yourself?
I don't know that I would have any real advice. I think, like I said, because it was like a mistake how I got into the business. I actually, my background is in fashion design, and that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a big fashion designer. And I lost my job. And when I lost my job after college, I got a receptionist job at the printing company. And while I was just like in my mind interning there, and then I hated the fact I'm just answering the phones and then a client is asking for something. Where's my print? My event is starting. How do you help me? And then I started helping little by little until I became the assistant manager, the manager, and all that stuff. I believe that curiosity, I would say to myself, stay curious, because I think that's the reason I probably stayed that long in this industry. I had an idea somewhere here. Okay, this is what I'm going to be for the rest of my life. And then this thing was presented to me, and I'm like, no, that's not what I thought it was. That's interesting. Okay, what do we do next? Okay, how do we help this client? Oh, they want this. Oh, we can do press. Oh, okay. Oh, instead of press, we can print on vinyl. Oh, we could do CAD cuts. Oh, we can print on wood. Oh, we can laser. It's just, to me, it's just a keep finding those things, and all those new things were fascinating to me. I believe I would not really change anything. I would just say stay curious and keep going towards what made you curious, and keep trying to understand how can you put value with what you know and who you are as a character, and help define what's the next best thing for you and for your industry or your company that you're working with.
That's great advice, though. Honestly, if we're not curious, if we're not learning, then what? We're stagnant? Then what does our life look
Exactly.
like? You know?
Exactly. And I do change. Like, it's hard. And again, like sometimes when I finish asking for the change and the change hits me like a ton of brick, like, why did I ask for this? But I think it is in the climbing that mountain, overcoming that challenge, and then getting you the stuff on that mountaintop, and you're like, oh, this is a pretty good scenery over here. This is not so bad. All right, what's next? So I like that.
Yeah. And it shows. Daphne, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to celebrate and amplify the voices of women in the printing industry. If you have a story to share or know someone whose journey deserves to be highlighted, we'd love to hear from you. Together, let's continue inspiring and empowering the next generation of leaders. Until next time, keep leaving your imprint. This is Her Imprint. See you soon.